Hey baby.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, another Monday, another book.
Another book review. So exciting. We are reading What Happened to You. Yeah, Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce. I think it was part of a book club, Oprah's book club, ne?
Yeah,
book
it
club
was.
read. So the book was published, that one. Do you remember? Why is it over? First published in 2021. Okay. That's fine. How did you feel about the book? How did you find the book?
I love books around psychology, around trauma, around, childhood trauma and the likes. And yeah, books around, like, that talk about healing and, stuff like that. So I was very excited when this book was picked for the book club. But I didn't get to finishing it because I didn't like the style in which it was written. It was for me it was challenging to read the questions and answers. Like, I didn't like that.
It did feel like a textbook, right?
Yeah.
That's how it felt for me.
Yeah, I didn't like that, the writing style. But I understood like it was a conversation, and maybe that's the best way they could have done it.
Broken down the psychology of it all, ne?
Because of most of it was just question and answer.
So what do you think was the whole purpose of the book to you?
For me, I think the purpose of the book was just to create awareness around this topic, because it also happened at a time where mental health was like, now there was just the spotlight around mental health, and a lot of people were talking about childhood traumas and how they eventually like follow us through even in our adult lives. So yeah, I think it was just awareness. Like, I'm breaking down with the chapters and the questioning style, the question and answer thingy that I didn't like. But yeah, most of it they teaching you, like, it's to teach you. Yes.
Yeah, I also did not finish it, and purely for that reason. I think if I had more time, maybe I would have, because we read it as part of the book club, so we generally had like a month to work through the book, and I don't think this is the kind of book that you read in a month. It's not a light read, it's not heavy as well, but like you said, it's more, they're trying to break down the science into a language that is more understandable for the non-scientific people, but it still comes across as a bit textbooky for me. So I had a challenge with that, but I don't think it makes for bad reading. I think it adds to the knowledge that one can have to create awareness and stuff. But yeah, I suppose you did not enjoy the book.
No, I did to a certain extent. There were like some chapters that were more enjoyable than others. I think if it is for chapter 5 or chapter 6, I didn't go through the whole book. But the chapters that I read was just, even like the making sense of the world. I think, yeah. The making sense of the world, I think it's that one year who would like your worldview. But we all have different worldviews because of how we grew up. If you grew up with an absent father, then your worldview would be.
So in the illustrations, it's not a book that I feel like you read for leisure, like when on a Sunday afternoon you'd be like, I just want a quick read. This is not the book. But if you are interested in like psychology, you want to just understand the human psyche from that perspective, then yeah, this is definitely the book to pick up.
Yeah. So as I was saying, if you grew up with an absent father, then your worldview would be like you don't trust men, and like ogase the pelelets man, but the pamutu. You won't trust fully. Like even if you're in a relationship or
because you're waiting for that person to leave.
Yeah, you're waiting for that person to fuck up.
To what any question?
You are, man.
I am not tone deaf. Maybe let's look at, did you learn something new from the book? From where you got?
From where I got. Okay, I loved, I'd say yes, because of most of what is in this book, it's more like sciencey, and so it's not really like terms that you'd find, like you'd read about anyway, especially in my field of work. So to answer your question, yes, I did learn something new from the book. So more chapter 4, it focuses on experiences of trauma and its lasting effects. Think about how you've handled difficulty in your own life with things that are very hard to deal with. You don't want to talk about the pain or loss or fear for 45 minutes non-stop. You want to talk about with a really good friend for maybe 2 to 3 minutes about some aspect of it. When it gets too painful, you step back. You want to be distracted, and maybe you want to talk more later on. It is a therapeutic closing that really leads to healing. Moments fully present, powerful but brief. So more ways there is this child who nearly like a case study. Like Dr. Perry talks about that he went through a traumatic experience where his mom was murdered, and then he's in the shop with his dad, and the cashier looks like his mom, the bob, the color, the age. And then out of nowhere, I mean the boy is 3, out of nowhere he says to the cashier, my mom was killed, my mom died. And then the father then takes that moment where, no, let's talk about it. Like, do you miss mommy? I also miss mommy. It's okay. Like, it's not controlled anymore. Because of all he wanted to do was, I saw this and I wanted to just say this, and that's okay.
I don't want to explore it any
this
further.
person, the dad, from perspective, I feel alright. Acknowledging pain and stuff. But then Wanola at that moment, hang get that thing because it's not controlled anymore. It's not brief anymore. After a brief moment, so I think this is also what we were talking about in the previous book review. Where sometimes you talk to somebody and then in the it starts hurting more than it should. That's why sometimes you're like, yo, I don't want to talk about this anymore, or I just wanted to tell you this, but I don't want to get into it. I just put it, this is what's happening, but let's talk about it some other time.
And so I think sometimes people are not aware what this is what is happening, so they're not able to express what I don't want to, I've reached my threshold, I don't want to talk about it. Because sometimes it happens, especially in conflict, where people want to run on and go on and go on and go on, whereas the other person now started to retreat because they cannot handle it anymore. Well, okay, I've expressed what makes me unhappy, but I'm unable to go beyond this point because it's starting to get too painful. Then maybe let's pause and we revisit the conversation at another time where I'm a bit more regulated, where sometimes it doesn't happen like that. We force the issues because it's open now. We want to keep going and we want to keep talking about it, and
maybe that's why also I think like one person said something saying more painful than the other one says the same thing, like no, it's whatever you've moved from there to another thing because of now you didn't stop. When I said breaky, then because some people don't believe in that. But sometimes I'll the face.
True.
So yeah, this is the part that I liked, or the part that it was a bit of a hum.
Your favorites. And what will be your lasting impression of the book?
I think my lasting from Mokifelism my lasting impression of the book will definitely be about the fact that we are all the same. We go through things, and I think I read somewhere Honakamo, even though maybe I didn't underline it. They talk about how sometimes we can be in the same house, relative siblings, and then going through the same traumas, but then they're affected differently throughout life. I turned out like this because my father was abusive, drug dealer or drug addict. I turned out like this because my father was abusive, lawyer or whatever. So yeah, it was kind of like in the book, like you have to read the book to just understand all these concepts, because now say like the way and there's also this other thing, there is a ACE, adverse childhood experience study. There's a list of, in the book, there's like a questionnaire. Yeah, there's a questionnaire. They ask you like a few questions, and then you answer yes or no, and then at the end you rate yourself, you rank yourself, or you give then what was, or how many answers were yes, and then that's your ACE score. And then with the score, then and how can they help you? But then he further talks about how this is not really, like, it's not something that they follow blindly, because of there are some like sometimes
considerations.
Yeah, there are some. Yeah, sometimes no when you in an abusive environment, so but then even those scores are also good. But then when I will more, because of how so whole, you got to regulate yourself, you got to understand your feelings. Yeah.
I think it just gave me the motivation I needed to go back and pick up the book. Because I did give up on the book, not because it was a bad book, but because I struggled with it. I put it down and just continued with other books and kind of forgot about it until we decided we needed to review it. So because I didn't finish it, I think it would be worth picking up again, just to embark on new journey of self-discovery and understanding yourself better, especially as you age.
Hey, happy aging.
What do you mean?
Why not going to get long age? No, I'm not aging. I'm a vampire.
Oh shit. What's my toilet?
I don't know, man.
Please don't. But yeah, I think this would be the ideal book to pick up. Maybe if you don't want to consider therapy, but you do want to understand, psychology a bit better.
I think it's one of those books that, like, it doesn't really go. It's not like the one that we reviewed. It's not like you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you should talk to somebody. This is more like.
Scientific.
It's very scientific. It talks about the brain, which brain stores the memory, which brain. It talks about the flight and fight mode, why certain things are But yeah, but now I won't pick it up again. Okay. Not anytime soon.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Probably next year.
That's fine. Here's to.
You didn't rate the book.
I have no business rating a book.
Okay, I'm gonna rate it a 3.
Okay.
A 3, simply because of the way it was written. Like, I didn't find it very
engaging.
No.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Cheers. Vale.
Run off it.
But yeah,
happy reading.